Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nidus Anarchy series. I'm your host Adam, the CIO and co-founder of Nidus, and this is another installment of Tech News of the Week. Today we are going to talk about the cross-platform malware written in Go that's messing up everyone on Windows and Mac, the Ledger breach, the guys that make those hardware wallets, and costs about $600,000 in lost funds that were stolen. Russian hackers are targeting the CI/CD pipeline tool TeamCity with a new exploit. Malware is now getting spread around via Oracle WebLogic server, so if you have that, we got a problem. And then lastly, we have that the FBI has released a decryption tool for those that have been locked up by the BlackCat malware, like the MGM guys. So let's kind of jump into this thing. First, the cross-platform malware written in Go. This one's actually pretty crazy. These guys have come out with a new malware tool written in Go that works everywhere, focusing primarily on PCs and Macs. This is the big thing, right? Because who has a Mac that's thinking, oh, I need to really be afraid of malware? Well, now you do. You're welcome. So for all of us, including myself as a Mac guy, now we have to start thinking like, holy crap, is there malware in this? And the reason this one kind of sticks out, obviously this isn't the first, but the reason this one sticks out to me the most is because one of the installer packages that they're focusing on is AnyConnect, Cisco's VPN client, which we've all installed a dozen times. And how many times have you half paid attention to where you even got it from? Most of the time you just Google Cisco AnyConnect client, download, and you find the link and you download it. Okay, it's the latest version, it works great, and you don't care and you go on your way. Well, that's the package they're going after. So one thing to check in case, like, how do you know if it's right? Look at the MD5 checksum. I know it's there. We never look at it, but we need to start doing that, right? On a Mac, it's super simple. Open up terminal, type in MD5 space file name. There's the checksum. Make sure it matches. At least for now, with that tool, you might really want to really make sure that it actually matches up. Next is the Ledger breach. So we're talking about these guys pirating, or not pirating, but actually breaking software and packaging it up with malware. Well, that's because you're getting it from a malicious site. Well, in the Ledger breach, it's a little bit worse. So they actually got into Ledger's NPM account. They basically fished out some ex-employees access into the NPM repo, and the attackers were able to upload versions of the NPM tool to actually cause people's wallets to be drained. So those that took the NPM package from the legit source and downloaded it and used it were having all their wallets drained of all their crypto funds. And that's scary because that is even if the MD5s they're still going to check out, you're not going to know unless you actually read through the source. And there's one part in there we can actually see that it was actually going to cause a drain, but you're not reading the source. No one is, right? But this kind of goes to the whole point where you really can't trust everything. So there's one company, Revoke.cash, where they use this Ledger library and their own development purposes, and a bunch of their wallets were compromised of their clients. So they had to send out a tweet saying, hey, we're sorry, but all your crypto is probably gone in your wallet. And it's not even really their fault because they used a legit trusted library that got compromised. Now, the one way they could have got around this was, you'll see there's actually one snippet of code that they actually published to say, hey, this is how this whole thing happened, is they just referenced the latest version in that library as opposed to actually saying we're going to use this specific one, or even better, downloading the library locally and then running it locally. So instead, they're just pulling the latest and greatest every time in the live website. So therefore, everyone that used it at that time had their wallets compromised. And that kind of sucks because once that crypto's gone, it's gone forever. There ain't never getting that back. Russian attackers are now targeting TeamCity, which is by JetBrains. It's a CI/CD pipeline tool. This one's huge because it really makes you think, oh my gosh, what do they have access to? Well, they have access to all of your source code. They could have access to your signing certificates. I mean, anything that goes to that pipeline tool, they could have access to. And there's also a remote execution vulnerability. So not only can they own the box itself and get access to all your source code, but they could modify your source code on the fly if they wanted to. So everything going through your CI/CD pipeline could be considered completely jacked and owned by these attackers if they really wanted to. This is something new that's coming out. JetBrains has said they have patched this in September. So make sure that your CI/CD pipeline is fully patched. If not, you're seriously susceptible to a massive problem. The last one that we have here is that the FBI has released a decryption tool for the BlackCat ransomware group. So those guys that attacked MGM and Caesars and all those guys where they ransomwared and locked it all out, they've released the tool. So the FBI did actually something pretty cool. They worked with a whole bunch of other government agencies all around the world. It's like something out of a spy movie. Maybe we'll see a Netflix documentary on it soon. But really what happened was they used a internal informant essentially to go in undercover and pose as part of the BlackCat group and get in there and wind up getting a bunch of the public and private keys of their Tor websites so that they had control of the sites that actually would manage all their the victims' accounts that they had open. And through that, they got the decryption tool. So they've released the decryption tool to all of the people that are currently compromised, and they're estimating saving people around $68 million by releasing this tool. So that's actually pretty cool on the Fed side. One last thing is that Okta just today sent out an email to a bunch of people, at least to me, saying that my account information has been breached. You may have seen it in the October release, blah, blah, blah. And they go out to say all your stuff that was stolen, which is basically your contact information, but not your passwords. Everything's fine. And then they go and tell you, you should really use MFA to protect yourself from this point forward so that attackers don't get a hold of you. It's like, it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black here, man. I mean, like, you should have protected my information, I think is the real takeaway here. So yeah, so that's still ongoing as well. That's it in today's news of tech. But if you want the full version, we have a full long drawn out with all the details and code snippets and all kinds of information up on YouTube and other platforms. So check us out. We're on there. We're going to post shorts of clips of the more longer version of this as well. So if you like detailed information, we're going to give that to you as well. I'll see you guys around. Later.